Story title: Fluency in 90 Days, My English Journey. Saloni Sharma stared at the email with her heart pounding. We are happy to invite you for a final round interview with Techspire Global, to be held in Bangalore on August 5th. She read it 3 times, eyes widening each time. Her palms were sweating. Her stomach fluttered, both in excitement and fear. "Ma," she called out, bursting into the kitchen. Her mother was slicing onions for lunch. "They called me. The final round. Techspire." Her mother looked up, smiling instantly. "Beta, that's wonderful. When is it?" "August 5th. Her mother counted mentally. "That's 3 months from now." Saloni nodded. Exactly 90 days. It should have felt like the happiest day of her life. After all, she had worked so hard. 4 years of engineering, 2 failed applications, and now a chance at her dream job. But one thing kept buzzing in her head like a mosquito: English. Saloni wasn't terrible at English. She had studied it in school. She could write it, understand it when reading, but speaking, that was her weak point. Every time she opened her mouth to speak English, her brain would freeze. She'd translate from Hindi in her head, fumble the grammar, mix up tenses. Worse, she'd get nervous. Her voice would tremble. Her tongue would tangle. She remembered an embarrassing moment during her college project presentation when she accidentally said, "I am suffocating with happiness," instead of, "I am overwhelmed." The class had chuckled, and though it wasn't cruel, it had stuck with her. Now, a real interview was coming. In English. No room for stammering. No time to get nervous. "I have to become fluent in English in 3 months," she told herself. Her mother raised an eyebrow. "Is that even possible?" Saloni took a deep breath. "I don't know. But I'm going to try." That evening, Saloni pulled out her notebook and wrote in big, bold letters, "Mission English, 90 days to fluency." She wasn't sure where to start. But she knew what she wanted: to speak English fluently and confidently, to understand native speakers in real time. To crack that interview, she opened YouTube and typed, "How to learn English fast." 100 videos popped up. She created a new schedule. Morning 30 minutes of vocabulary and grammar, afternoon, listen to English podcasts or TED Talks, evening, watch English TV shows with subtitles, night, talk to herself in English or record voice notes. It felt silly at first. Talking to herself. Watching cartoons in English. But this was war. She had 90 days to become someone new. The next day, she opened Duolingo and started learning basic phrases. It felt like a game. But when she tried speaking aloud, her voice faltered. "Hi, my name is Saloni," she whispered. Then louder, "I am from Jaipur." She cringed at her accent. She watched a video titled, "Don't Be Afraid of Your Indian Accent." The speaker, a cheerful Indian woman working at Google, said, "Your accent is part of who you are. Fluency is confidence, not perfection." Saloni wrote that down. Still, self-doubt crept in. "How can I compete with people who've spoken English since childhood?" She shared her worry with her best friend, Meenal, on a late-night call. "You don't need to sound British or American," Meenal said. "You just need to sound like someone who knows what she's talking about." Saloni smiled. Challenge accepted. On her bedroom wall, she taped a paper with this quote: "You will never always be motivated, so you must learn to be disciplined." She made a deal with herself: no skipping a single day. From tomorrow, the real work would begin. The next morning, Saloni woke up earlier than usual. She rolled out of bed at 6:30 a.m., tied her hair in a loose bun, and sat at her study table, notebook ready. Her window let in a soft glow of Jaipur's summer light. The streets outside were already alive with cycle bells, vegetable vendors, and auto rickshaw horns. But inside her room, it was quiet. It was time to begin. She wrote at the top of a fresh page, "Day 1, speak without fear." She opened her first YouTube lesson, Basic English Conversation for Beginners. A cheerful tutor appeared on screen and said, "Repeat after me. hello. How are you? Saloni hesitated, then said softly, hello. How are you? Louder, the tutor said. Saloni smiled nervously, though she knew the tutor couldn't see her. Hello. How are you? She said again, this time with more power. Her voice echoed in her small room. From the kitchen, her father called out, are you okay, Saloni? She laughed. Yes, Papa. I'm just practicing. At breakfast, she explained her plan to the family. Her father, a retired bank officer, nodded thoughtfully. 3 months is not a long time, he said. But I believe in your determination. Her mother looked concerned. But how will you do all this with your entrance exam coaching? And what about your health? Saloni smiled. This is part of the plan, Ma. I'll manage time better. I want to be fluent before the interview. Her younger brother, Arav, who was already fluent thanks to his English medium school, smirked. If you want, I can test your English. Like a speaking partner. Saloni narrowed her eyes. You'll just tease me. I'll be serious. I promise. She didn't fully trust him but said, fine. Later tonight. Test me. That afternoon, Saloni downloaded the HelloTalk app, a language exchange platform. She made a profile, Saloni, 24, from India. Learning English. Native Hindi speaker. Tech student. Within an hour, she got messages from strangers around the world. One said, Hi Saloni. Want to practice English with me? She panicked and closed the app. I can't talk to strangers. She told herself. What if I sound stupid? But that night, she opened it again and replied to a girl from Japan named Yui. They exchanged voice notes about their hobbies. Yui spoke slowly, clearly, and encouraged Saloni when she fumbled. You said, I am loving coding. We usually say, I love coding, Yui explained gently. Oh, got it. Thank you. Saloni replied, trying again. She recorded herself saying, I love coding. I love learning English. I love samosas. Yui laughed and sent back, me too. I love sushi and samosas. Saloni grinned. Her first real English exchange. It felt small, but magical. By day 3, Saloni began using a trick she read online, speaking in front of a mirror. She stood facing her reflection and practiced introducing herself. Hi, I'm Saloni Sharma. I live in Jaipur. I studied computer science. I want to work at TechSpire Global because, she stumbled. Her voice trembled. Because why? Why did she want this? She looked into her own eyes. Because I know I'm good enough. I just need the words to show it. She repeated it, stronger each time. Because I know I'm good enough. On her wall, she began sticking post-it notes in English, think in English. Make mistakes. That's how you learn. Be brave before fluent. She even changed her phone language to English and started watching English YouTubers like Emma from MMM English and Rachel's English. But not every day was perfect. On day 5, she woke up with a headache and almost skipped her routine. One day won't hurt, she thought. But then she saw the quote on her wall, discipline, not motivation. She got out of bed. That night, she called Meenal again. I know it's just been 5 days, Saloni said, but I already feel different. Like I've switched something on in my brain. You have, Meenal replied. You've made a decision. Most people don't even start. Saloni leaned back on her bed, phone to her ear, eyes fixed on the ceiling. Fan. Do you think I can do it, Meenal? Really? Meenal didn't hesitate. Yes. You just have to keep showing up. Every day. Saloni smiled. She ended the call, closed her eyes, and whispered in English, one day, I'll tell this story, in English. And she meant it. The spoken English class was held in a small building tucked between a medical store and a tailoring shop in Raja Park, one of the busier parts of Jaipur. The sign outside read in red and blue block letters, Confident English Speaking, batch starts today. All levels welcome. Saloni stood in front of the door, gripping her notebook like a shield. She had arrived 10 minutes early but still hesitated outside, pretending to check her phone. Why am I nervous? It's just a class, she told herself. Everyone else is here to learn too. She took a deep breath and walked in. Inside, a group of about 15 people sat in plastic chairs arranged in a semicircle. The walls were painted pale green, and motivational quotes were taped to every corner. English is not a subject. It's a skill. Speak to learn, don't learn to speak. Mistakes are proof you're trying. Saloni quickly found a seat in the second row. A boy in his early 20s sat next to her, fidgeting with his pen. He gave a quick nod and said, "Hi. New here?" "Yes. First class," she replied with a small smile. "I'm Arjun," he said. "I'm here because my boss said my English sounds like Google Translate." Saloni laughed. That's relatable. Before she could ask more, a cheerful woman in her 40s walked in. She wore a bright orange kurti and carried a thick folder. Her voice boomed in the small room. "Good morning, everyone. I am your trainer, Miss Kavita. But please call me ma'am or Kavita ma'am. This class is for one thing only, speaking. You will speak every day. Even if you're scared." Saloni's stomach twisted. Kavita ma'am clapped her hands. "Let's start with introductions. Name, where you're from, what you do, and one line about why you want to learn English." Saloni's heart pounded. Public speaking in English. On the first day, one by one, the students stood up and spoke. "I am Ramesh. I am from Jaipur. I want to go to Dubai for work. I am Sunita. I am housewife. I want to speak English with my son." Then it was her turn. Saloni stood up, her palms damp, voice shaky. I am Saloni Sharma. I am from Jaipur. I want to improve my English. For job, interview. At big company." She quickly sat down. Her face burned. Kavita ma'am smiled. "Good. Next time, say, I want to improve my English for a job interview at a big company." Nice effort. Saloni nodded, but inside, she wanted to sink into the floor. By the end of the class, they had played a vocabulary game and practiced asking each other questions. Arjun kept whispering jokes between exercises. Saloni appreciated the distraction. "You did okay," he said on their way out. "Way better than me." I said, "I am work in bank, like a caveman." Saloni laughed. "I feel like we're all in the same boat." He nodded. Sinking together, but at least not alone. That evening, back at home, she recorded her thoughts in English. Today was hard. Speaking in front of others is scary. I made mistakes. But I tried. That's what matters, right? She replayed her recording and cringed. Her accent was thick, her grammar shaky. But she didn't delete it. On day 8, she decided to push herself further. She walked into a nearby cafe and made herself a promise: order entirely in English. The menu was simple. She rehearsed in her head: 1 cappuccino. No sugar. Takeaway. She reached the counter. A young man with stylish glasses looked up. "Yes, ma'am." Saloni took a breath. 1 cappuccino. No sugar. For takeaway. "Okay, anything else?" She shook her head, smiling nervously. "No, that's it." As she paid, she realized her hands weren't trembling. Her voice didn't shake. It wasn't perfect, but she had done it. It was a small win, but to her, it felt like climbing Everest. Back home, she watched an episode of Friends with subtitles off. She barely understood half the jokes. But she didn't give up. She rewound again and again until her ears picked up phrases like, "Could you be any more annoying?" And, "I'm not great at the advice. Can I interest you in a sarcastic comment?" She wrote them down in her notebook under a new section. Real English, not textbook English. That night, she dreamed she was talking to Chandler Bing. In English. At the end of her first week of classes, Kavita ma'am asked each student to give a 1-minute talk on any topic. Saloni chose, "My favorite festival, Diwali." She practiced all morning. She knew the words. She had the ideas. But standing in front of 15 people made her palms sweat again. Still, she stood. Diwali is the festival of lights. In my home, we decorate with candles and diyas. I love this festival because it brings family together. She stumbled only once. She forgot the word for bursting firecrackers, and just said, playing with lights and sounds. Everyone clapped when she finished. Kavita ma'am gave a thumbs up. See, you spoke. Full minute. And not bad at all. Saloni sat down, heart racing. She wasn't fluent yet. Not even close. But she had done something brave. She had started. The glow of her laptop screen lit up Saloni's face in the quiet of her room. It was 11:42 p.m., and everyone else in the house was asleep. On her desk were open notebooks, highlighters, a half-eaten packet of Parle-G biscuits, and a growing collection of sticky notes with English phrases scribbled across them like, "I'll get back to you. Bear with me. Let's catch up later." On the same page. But for all her effort, she still felt stuck. Why'd I still translate in my head? Why'd I freeze when someone talks too fast? Why'd I remember grammar rules but not the right words when I need them? She stared at her open diary and wrote in block letters, "I need a system. Not random tips. A real method." The next morning, she asked her English class, "Ma'am, how do fluent speakers think in English? Do they memorize everything? Or just speak?" Kavita ma'am chuckled. "You don't memorize a river. You learn how to swim in it. You don't translate when you're fluent, you associate. You hear a word and feel its meaning, not its Hindi cousin." Saloni nodded slowly. That made sense. Later, she Googled, "How to stop translating in your head while speaking English." She read articles, watched videos, and found 3 principles that would shape everything going forward. 1. Immerse yourself. 2. Practice out loud, not silently. 3. Focus on phrases, not individual words. Saloni tore a fresh page from her notebook and drew 3 columns. Column 1. Input 20 minutes of English YouTube videos daily, 1 TED Talk every 2 days, Friends, or The Big Bang Theory, every evening, with and later without subtitles. Column 2. Output Mirror Talk every morning, audio diaries recorded on phone, conversations on HelloTalk, minimum 1 per day. Column 3. Vocabulary and grammar, 5 new phrases per day, written plus spoken, 1 grammar topic per week. She picked prepositions. First, at the top, she wrote, Saloni's English system, 3 months to fluency phrasebook over textbook. She stopped memorizing word lists like environment, development, conversation, and instead started learning full phrases. The environment plays a major role in. We need to focus on sustainable development. Let's have a quick conversation about that. She realized that speaking is about rhythm, not just vocabulary. Native speakers didn't say, "I did not understand what you said." They said, "Sorry, didn't catch that." This shift in approach felt revolutionary. On a sleepy Sunday afternoon, Saloni logged back into HelloTalk. This time, she felt more confident. A message pinged, "Hey Saloni. I'm learning Hindi. Want to talk in English? Hindi exchange. Sarah, UK." She typed back, "Hi Sarah. Yes. Happy to talk." They started texting, then switched to voice messages. Sarah, "So, Saloni, what do you do?" Saloni, "I just complete my graduation in computer science." Sarah, "Ah, you just completed it. That's great." Saloni repeated the corrected phrase out loud, "I just completed my graduation." Sarah continued, "And what do you want to do next?" Saloni hesitated, then said, "I want to work in a big software company. Like Techspire." Sarah, "Sounds exciting. I'm sure you'll get it." They laughed. They made errors. They learned. And for the first time, Saloni didn't feel like a beginner. She felt like a participant. By week 3, Saloni had made English a part of her lifestyle. It wasn't something she studied anymore. It was something she did. She changed the language of her phone and laptop to English. She left English sticky notes on every object in her room: mirror, door, lamp, charger, drawer, notebook, water bottle. She stopped watching Hindi YouTube videos entirely, even for entertainment. She even began thinking in English. When she spilled water on the floor, her first instinct wasn't "Pani gur gaya," but "Oops. I need to clean that up." It shocked her and thrilled her. Saloni used to get stuck on tenses. Was it "I have done," or "I did"? "I was going," or "I had gone"? Now, she made peace with it. Fluency comes from use, not perfection. She focused on being understood, not being textbook correct. The more she spoke, the more naturally grammar began to fall into place. She also started mimicking native speakers. She would pause videos, repeat after them, match their intonation. "Hey, what's up?" "Oh, I'm good. Just working on something." She wasn't copying their accent, just the flow. The confidence. One day, she joined a group video chat for English learners. It included people from Turkey, Nigeria, Vietnam, and Germany. When it was her turn to speak, she fumbled badly. Words didn't come. Her internet lagged. Someone corrected her twice. A few people even chuckled. She felt crushed. Later that night, she told Meenal, "Maybe I'm just not good at this. I'll never speak like them." Meenal paused. "Saloni, you joined a call with people from 5 countries. In English. That's already success. You're comparing your day 20 to someone's day 200. Saloni stayed quiet for a moment. Then whispered, "You're right." At the end of month 1, Saloni recorded a 2-minute video of herself talking about her progress. "1 month ago, I was afraid to speak even a single line in English. Now, I speak every day. I still make mistakes, but I'm no longer afraid. I enjoy learning. I feel alive." She uploaded it to her private YouTube channel, visible only to herself. Then she played the first video she had recorded, from day 1. The difference was clear. Same voice. Same girl. But a different energy. A new belief. She smiled and whispered to the screen, "This is working." Saloni's notebook was now almost half full. Pages of phrases, grammar patterns, corrected sentences, even doodles of smiley faces next to perfect sentences, and little red crosses where she'd gotten stuck. She no longer needed to force herself to study. It had become a habit. Like brushing her teeth. Each morning, she started her day with mirror talk. Today's topic: a place I want to visit. I want to visit Switzerland. I have seen it in Bollywood movies, and the mountains look magical. I think I would like the food. And cold weather. But I will need winter jackets. Heavy ones. She giggled at herself in the mirror. Her sentences weren't perfect, but her voice was steady. That was new. At class, Saloni had slowly become one of the more confident speakers. Kavita ma'am even asked her to help some of the beginners during pair exercises. She found herself repeating what she'd learned the hard way: "Don't worry about your accent. Fluency is about rhythm, not speed. If you can't find a word, use a simpler one." Arjun, her classmate, told her, "You sound different these days. Less nervous. Like, you believe yourself." Saloni smiled. "Maybe because I do." One afternoon, on her way home from class, she stopped at her favorite kulfi cart near Raj Mandir Cinema. As she waited for her order, a middle-aged foreign woman with a confused expression approached the vendor. The woman looked around and asked in a thick accent, "Excuse me, where is Albert Hall Museum?" The vendor just shook his head and pointed randomly. The woman looked more confused. Saloni's heart thudded. Should I try helping? She stepped forward. "Excuse me, ma'am. I can help." The woman looked relieved. "Oh, thank you." Saloni took a breath. "You go straight. Then you, take left. No, take right." Museum is there. Next, signal. The woman squinted. So, first left or right? Saloni panicked. She gestured vaguely. You go, that side. Then, it comes. The woman gave a hesitant nod. All right, I'll try. Thank you. As the woman walked away, Saloni's face turned red. Her sentences had collapsed. The directions were mixed up. Even she wasn't sure if she'd helped or made it worse. Later that evening, she Googled the route. She had told the woman to go the wrong way. That night, she didn't do her mirror practice. She didn't open HelloTalk. She just sat on her bed, hugging her pillow, replaying the conversation over and over. I confused her. I looked stupid. What if she thinks all Indians speak like that? The voice in her head was harsh. You're not fluent. You're faking it. This was your chance, and you blew it. Her motivation, which had been so high, suddenly felt like air leaking out of a balloon. She didn't sleep well that night. The next day, she stayed after class and told Kavita ma'am everything. Kavita listened quietly and said, You made a mistake. So what? But I gave her the wrong direction, Saloni said, eyes downcast. In English. Kavita smiled gently. Beta, native speakers give wrong directions all the time. That doesn't mean they don't know English. Saloni looked up. Then what does it mean? It means you're human. You tried. You helped. That takes more courage than correct grammar. Then she added something that stuck with Saloni. Mistakes are not signs of failure. They're signs that you're moving. That evening, Saloni pulled out her diary and wrote, I will stop chasing perfect English. I will chase progress. She wrote a list of what she'd achieved in 1 month, held 10 plus real conversations, gave a 1-minute talk in English, joined a group voice chat, helped a stranger even if imperfectly, stuck to her routine for 30 plus days. She stared at the list and realized something. I'm no longer afraid of English. I'm afraid of judgment. And that's something I can defeat. She began a new habit. Every night, before bed, she'd ask herself, what 3 new English words did I learn today? Some were simple, confident, hesitate, gesture. Some were strange, waffle, awkward, sidetrack. Some were beautiful, resilience, perspective, milestone. She wrote them down. Not just their definitions, but example sentences from her own life. Today, I showed resilience by returning to class. I had an awkward moment giving wrong directions. Still, it was a milestone in my journey. She smiled. A week later, something unexpected happened. Her uncle from Mumbai called. He always spoke in English. Usually, she'd pass the phone to her father. But this time, she held on. Hello beta, how are you? He asked. I'm good, Mama Ji. How are you? I'm doing well. And wow, your English sounds sharp. What are you up to these days? They spoke for 5 minutes. She answered every question. No stumbles. No freezing. When she hung up, her father looked impressed. You've improved, Saloni. Really? She beamed. The next day, in class, Kavita ma'am said, let's share our biggest milestone in English so far. Saloni stood up and said, my biggest milestone is not perfect grammar or learning 100 words. It is this, I am no longer afraid to speak. Everyone clapped. Arjun whispered, you should teach this class next. She laughed. For the first time, she felt the shift not just in her speaking, but in her identity. She wasn't just a girl trying to learn English anymore. She was someone who spoke it, bravely, imperfectly, and with heart. The banner in front of the class read, Mock Interview Week, Real Questions. Real Pressure. Real Growth. Saloni adjusted her formal navy blue kurti and checked her reflection in the dusty mirror outside the classroom. Her hands were clammy. Her heart was drumming. Today wasn't just another speaking exercise. It was a simulation of the actual interview at TechSpire. And she'd volunteered to go first. The room had been transformed. Kavita ma'am sat at a desk like an HR manager, with 2 other instructors posing as panelists. There was a chair in front of them. one microphone, one spotlight. Saloni sat down, back straight, her resume in hand. Everyone else watched from the back of the room, pens ready to take notes. "Good morning, Saloni," said Kavita ma'am, in a clipped, neutral accent. "Shall we begin?" "Yes, good morning, ma'am. I am ready. Tell us something about yourself." Saloni had prepared this 100 times. "My name is Saloni Sharma. I recently completed my graduation in computer science from Jaipur National University. I am a hardworking person, and I am passionate about technology and problem solving." "So far, so good." "Great," said panelist 2. "Now tell us about a time you handled a challenge." Saloni smiled. "Yes, ma'am. During my final year project, I was group leader, and one of my team member was not doing his work. I told him very politely to either participate properly or we would remove him." There was an awkward silence. One panelist's eyebrows raised. "And what happened then?" Kavita ma'am asked. "I was angry inside, but I kept my anger low. Finally, I made him understand and we completed the project with success." "Thank you," said panelist 3, gently. "We'll come back to that later." When the mock interview ended, everyone clapped politely. Saloni felt okay, until Kavita ma'am asked for feedback. A quiet girl from the back raised her hand. Saloni spoke clearly, she said. "But the sentence about telling the team member to participate or leave, it sounded a bit rude. Like an ultimatum." Another added, "In English, we might say, we encouraged him, or motivated him. Saying, remove him, feels too harsh." Saloni's chest tightened. One of the panelists, Mr. Sharma, nodded. "It's a common issue, translating tone directly from Hindi. What sounds assertive in Hindi can sound aggressive in English." Saloni flushed red. She hadn't meant to sound harsh. She was trying to be honest. That evening, she didn't open her notes. She didn't do her mirror talk. She didn't watch her usual English show. She just lay on her bed, staring at the fan, her mind echoing, too harsh. Aggressive. Sounds rude. For someone who had fought so hard to speak at all, the idea that she'd sounded unprofessional hurt more than any grammar mistake ever had. What if I ruin my real interview like that? What if I say the wrong thing again? The next day, she didn't want to go to class. But she did. Out of discipline. During break, Kavita ma'am handed her a card. "Go see Mr. Rahul Desai in room 104 after class," she said. "He's a soft skills coach. He trains corporate professionals for global communication. I think you'll benefit." Saloni was hesitant, but curious. She went. Mr. Desai was in his 30s, with rimless glasses and a calm, observant face. He spoke slowly, thoughtfully. He gestured for her to sit. "I heard about your mock interview. You spoke confidently. That's rare." Saloni frowned. "But I made a cultural mistake." He nodded. "Yes. And that's good." "Good?" she asked, surprised. He smiled. "Better to make it now than later. You've learned something crucial. Language isn't just words. It's intent. It's perception." Mr. Desai pulled out a whiteboard and drew a triangle. At the top, words. Below that, tone. At the base, cultural context. Fluency, he said, is not just knowing what to say. It's knowing how it sounds to others. He gave an example. In Hindi, if someone isn't doing their part, we say, "Tum kam karo, warna nikal jao." Direct. In English, we'd soften it. "Let's discuss expectations," or, "We may need to reconsider your role." Same idea. Different packaging. Saloni blinked. "So I need to translate intention, not structure." He clapped softly. "Exactly. You're not wrong. You're just growing." That night, Saloni sat at her desk and rewrote her project story. "During my final year project, one of my team members was disengaged. As team lead, I initiated a private conversation, encouraged him to contribute, and reassigned some tasks to better fit his strengths. This helped us complete the project successfully and on time. She read it aloud. It still told the truth, but now with emotional intelligence. She felt proud and mature. In her diary, she wrote, "I thought English was about vocabulary and confidence. But it's also about empathy. Knowing your audience. Understanding tone. Reading the room. I didn't know that before. Today, I became a better communicator. Not just in English. In life." She recorded a voice note to herself in English. "Dear future Saloni, if you're watching this before your TechSpire interview, remember. You don't have to be perfect. Just professional. Don't show off, connect. Don't translate, express. Don't fear mistakes, learn from them. You've come this far. You belong." She smiled, saved the message, and whispered to herself, "I'm not lost. I'm learning to lead." The calendar on Saloni's wall had one date circled in red, the 27th of March, the day of her real interview with TechSpire, one of the top software companies recruiting in Jaipur. Today was the 1st of March. 1 month to go. Her mother had started telling relatives, Saloni is preparing for a big interview. A software company. They do foreign work also. Full English. Her father nodded at dinner, "We raised her for this. She was always the smart one." Her cousin texted, "OMG. If you get in, you'll finally move out of Jaipur, right?" Everyone was excited. Everyone believed in her. Everyone, except Saloni. Inside, she felt a rising panic. What if I mess it up? What if they ask something I don't understand? What if I blank out? She'd come so far. But now, the fear of failing publicly was louder than her progress. That night, she recorded an audio diary. "I've learned English for 60 days. I speak better than before. I understand movies, read blogs, reply to people online. But still, inside me, there's this fear. Not of English, of expectations." She paused the recording, then added, "Maybe I need to remember why I started. Not for a job, not to impress anyone, but to believe in myself." In class, they practiced rapid-fire Q&A. Saloni got stuck when asked, "What are your salary expectations?" She hesitated, mumbled, and finally said, "I want suitable salary as per company rules." The instructor gave a polite smile but noted, "Try, I'm open to discussing based on the role and responsibilities, but I'm also looking for growth opportunities." Saloni nodded, but it stung. She felt like she was slipping backward. Her brain was tired. Her phrases jumbled. The more she tried, the more her tongue froze. Arjun noticed. After class, he said, "Burnout. I had it during my BTech finals. Maybe you need a reset." She sighed. "But I can't afford to take a break." "You can't afford not to." That weekend, her childhood friend Neha visited from Mumbai. Over chai and samosas, Neha casually asked, "How's your English journey going?" Saloni rolled her eyes. "Intense. Stressful. I feel like a machine sometimes." Neha laughed. "Then let's take you offline." They went out. No English classes. No studying. Just conversation, music, and street food. On a whim, they entered Jaipur Literature Festival, which was happening in town. One panel discussion was on the power of language and identity. A British author on stage said, "Language is not a performance. It's participation. Don't speak to impress. Speak to connect." Saloni froze. The line hit her like a lightning bolt. That night, she pulled out her first diary entry from January. "I want to learn English to speak in job interviews. But also, to stop feeling small when others speak confidently." She smiled. Now, when someone spoke in English, she didn't feel small. She felt curious. She no longer wanted to sound smart. She wanted to sound real. Saloni changed her routine. Instead of scripted answers, she practiced personal stories. "The first time I failed a coding test. What I learned from tutoring my cousin. Why I love building websites for small businesses." She spoke into the mirror. She recorded herself and re-listened. She corrected tone, not just grammar. And she laughed more. Let the sentences flow. Let go of perfection. One evening, while waiting at the metro station, a lost teenager approached her. Didi, wo foreigner uncle, he wants to go to City Palace. He asked me. I don't know what to tell. Saloni spotted the older man, confused and looking at his phone. She smiled, walked up to him. Hi, sir. Are you trying to reach City Palace? He looked relieved. Yes. My map keeps rerouting. No problem. You need to take the metro to Chanpol station. Then a 10-minute tuk-tuk ride. I can help you with directions. They talked for 2 minutes. No fumbles. No fear. Just clear, confident English. After he left, the teenager looked at her with wide eyes. Didi, you talk like those YouTubers. Saloni chuckled. Takes practice. But deep inside, she felt something return. Not just confidence. Joy. On the 20th of March, she posted a short video on her private YouTube channel. Hi, I'm Saloni. This is day 80 of my journey to learn English. Today, I helped a stranger, told a story, and answered tough questions without freezing. I don't know how my interview will go. But I know one thing, I no longer hide my voice. I own it. March 27th. The morning sun over Jaipur felt a little brighter. Or maybe it was just Saloni's eyes, wide open, no trace of sleep, but shining with resolve. She stood in front of her mirror, adjusting her neatly ironed kurta and blazer combo. A small pendant her mother gave her hung at her neck, modest, but grounding. She looked at herself. You've done the work. Now, show up. Her voice was quiet, but steady. The Techspire building was glassy, modern, and slightly intimidating. She waited in the lobby with 8 other candidates. Most of them were men in formal shirts, tapping away on their phones or reading notes. Saloni didn't check hers. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and silently repeated, I'm not here to be perfect. I'm here to be present. The first round was a short aptitude and logic test, puzzles, basic math, pattern recognition. Saloni wasn't worried about this part. She finished with 10 minutes to spare and double-checked her answers. When the results were announced, her name was on the shortlist for round 2, technical interview. Her heartbeat quickened. This was where she usually froze. She entered a glass cabin where a young man in a hoodie and glasses sat at a desk. He smiled as she walked in. Hi, Saloni, I'm Rishabh. I'll be your technical interviewer. She shook his hand, sat down, and greeted him. Nice to meet you, sir. No need for, sir, he chuckled. Let's keep it casual. He began with coding questions. She solved 2 out of 3. On the third, she got stuck. She said honestly. I think I've seen this pattern, but I'm not sure about the edge case. May I explain my approach anyway? Rishabh nodded. Go for it. She walked him through her thought process, even pointed out where she could be wrong. When she finished, he smiled. You didn't get the final solution, but your approach is strong. And you're honest about your gaps. That's rare. Relief bloomed in her chest. She was led to another room. This time, a woman in a navy blazer sat across from her, Meera Singh, head of recruitment. Saloni, welcome, she said. Let's talk about who you are. The conversation began simply. Tell me about yourself. Why Techspire? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Then came the wildcard. Tell me about a time you failed. Saloni paused. Her breath caught. She thought about the tourist. The wrong directions. The embarrassment. During my English learning journey, she began, I once tried helping a tourist. I gave him the wrong directions in English. I was so embarrassed I wanted to quit. But instead, I used it to improve. I realized fluency isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about recovering from them. Meera's expression changed. There was a subtle nod. Encouragement. Then came the final question. What do you think is more important in the workplace, technical skills or communication? Without blinking, Saloni answered, both are important. But communication decides how your skills are seen. You can be brilliant, but if you can't express your thoughts, people won't know your value. There was a pause. Mira smiled. Thank you, Saloni. That was a beautiful answer. As she stepped out of the building into the golden Jaipur sunset, her legs shook, but her smile was unshakable. She didn't know yet if she'd be selected. But that didn't matter. She had done it. Not just spoken English, but owned her space, made mistakes, stayed honest, and most of all, connected. Back in her room, Saloni recorded one last video for her private YouTube channel. Today, I gave my first full job interview in English. I didn't freeze. I didn't fake. I was me. 3 months ago, I couldn't complete a sentence. Today, I completed my story. She looked into the camera. To anyone afraid to start, your voice matters. Even when it shakes. Fluency is not about sounding foreign. It's about sounding like yourself, clearly. She turned off the camera. Then opened her diary to the very first page. And underneath the line that once read, "Learn English in 3 months." She wrote, "Achieved. Becoming fluent in more than just language." It had been 3 days since the interview. 3 long days of checking her email every hour. Refreshing her phone notifications every 5 minutes. Replaying each answer she gave in her head. Should I have said more about my final year project? What if they didn't like my honesty about that mistake? Did I speak too slowly? Her mind became a courtroom, and she was both the judge and the defendant. On the 4th day, Saloni went silent. She didn't practice English. Didn't open her diary. Didn't record her audio journal. She lay on the sofa, staring at the ceiling fan again, the same one she stared at back in January when she first felt hopeless. Her mother tried to encourage her. No news might still be good news. Her father offered logic. These companies take time. Relax. Meenal sent her a meme, waiting for results like waiting for pani puri when you're 5th in line. Saloni smiled, but barely. Because inside, she felt like everything she'd built could crumble, if the answer was no. That night, she wrote in her diary, "Why does this one call matter so much? I didn't learn English just for a job. I learned it so I could stop feeling small. So I could believe I belonged in rooms where people spoke confidently. But maybe, deep down, I'm still waiting for someone to say, yes, you're good enough." It came the next morning. She was brushing her hair when her phone buzzed. Unknown number Techspire HR. Her hands shook as she picked it up. "Hello, this is Saloni Sharma." A warm voice responded. "Hi Saloni, this is Mira Singh from Techspire. Are you free to talk?" Saloni's heart raced. "Yes, ma'am. Absolutely." A small pause. Then, "Greater than, I wanted to personally congratulate you. You've been selected for the position of Associate Software Developer." Time slowed. You mean I got the job?" Mira laughed gently. "Yes. We were impressed not just by your technical answers, but your clarity and honesty. Especially during the HR round." Saloni's eyes welled with tears. "Thank you, ma'am. Truly. Thank you so much." Before hanging up, Mira added, "And one more thing, your answer about communication being the key to value. That stayed with us. Keep speaking like that. It matters." The moment she hung up, she burst into tears. Not dramatic, movie-style sobbing, but the quiet kind. The kind that comes when something heavy you've carried for months, finally drops. Her mother rushed in. "What happened?" Saloni just whispered, "I got the job." Screaming. Hugs. Ladus from the neighbors. Even her little cousin made her a hand-drawn, "Congrats Didi" card. Later that night, she sat on her bed with a cup of chai and a half-eaten packet of parle-ji, the same snack that sat on her desk the night she began this journey. Full circle. That night, she opened her diary. The same one with page after page of mirror scripts, sticky notes, and rewrites. She wrote, I was looking for a job. But I found something more, my voice. My courage. My identity. Learning English didn't just change how I speak, it changed how I see myself. She flipped to the first page. Read the words she had written on January 1st, learn English in 3 months. She added underneath it, done. Understood more than language. Found my voice. Got the job. Became someone I respect. In a new notebook, fresh and empty, she wrote on the first page, to the girl just starting out, you will feel lost. You will feel stupid. You will want to give up. But if you keep showing up, one sentence at a time, one conversation at a time, one mistake at a time, you'll become fluent in more than just English. You'll become fluent in yourself. The Techspire office smelled like new furniture and ambition. Saloni sat at her assigned desk, bright-eyed, blazer neatly pressed, fingers hovering above the keyboard of her new company laptop. Associate software developer. It still didn't feel real. She wasn't nervous anymore about speaking up in meetings. Her voice, once shaky, was now confident, even during her first team huddle. Here's what I suggest for the client's UI dashboard. We can simplify the filters by using grouped dropdowns. I've created a mock-up. Her manager nodded. Sounds smart. Let's explore that. She smiled. 2 weeks into the job, the HR team introduced a new intern to their department, Anjali, a final-year student from a local college. Shy, soft-spoken, always writing things down but rarely speaking in group settings. During lunch, Saloni overheard her whispering nervously in Hindi to another intern, Main English mein bol nahi patti theek se. Dar lagta hai sab ke samne. Something clicked. Later that day, Saloni gently approached her at the coffee machine. Anjali, right. I heard you're in college, Jaipur Tech. Anjali nodded. Saloni smiled. I was where you are, 3 months ago. Anjali blinked. But you speak English so fluently. Saloni chuckled. Now. Not then. And over the next 15 minutes, she told Anjali everything, the mistakes. The wrong directions to the tourist. The mock interview embarrassment. The YouTube voice journals. The moment she stopped chasing perfection. Anjali stared at her like she was describing a superhero movie. Did you really learn in 3 months? Saloni shook her head. I'm still learning. But yes, I started 90 days before my interview. Anjali whispered, how? Saloni pulled out a notepad and scribbled. Mirror talk record voice daily learn 5 words per day in real sentences 1 English conversation every day even short. No fear of mistakes she handed it to Anjali. Start with this. 2 weeks later, during a team meeting, Anjali spoke for the first time. Sorry to interrupt. I had a small idea to improve the feedback form. Everyone turned to look. She explained, softly, but clearly. When the meeting ended, Saloni patted her on the shoulder. That was your day 1 of real English. Anjali grinned. I was so scared. But I remembered what you said, speak to connect, not impress. That night, Saloni opened a new Google Doc and titled it, Speak with Saloni, A Beginner's Guide to Learning English with Courage. It wouldn't be perfect. But it would be hers. And it could help someone take that first shaky step toward fluency, not in language alone, but in confidence. One weekend, Kavita ma'am invited Saloni to return to her old spoken English class, as a guest speaker. She stood at the front of the room. The same room where she once trembled trying to say, my name is Saloni. Now, her voice filled the space with ease. I want to tell you a secret, she said. You don't have to sound like someone else to speak good English. You just have to sound like yourself, clearly, kindly, and without fear. The class clapped. A few students had tears in their eyes. And Kavita ma'am, she smiled the proudest smile of all. That night, Saloni wrote, at first, I just wanted to speak English so I could get a job. Now, I want to teach others so they never feel as small as I once did. She looked at her phone background, a selfie with her parents, taken the day of her job offer. Next to that, she pinned a sticky note: Fluency equals voice plus vulnerability plus practice. It was a warm evening in Jaipur. The sky, streaked with tangerine and purple, mirrored the changes inside Saloni, calm, layered, quietly powerful. She sat on the rooftop of her house, a glass of chai in her hand, her diary in her lap. The same diary she'd carried since January 1st. She opened to the final page. Day 90 plus, I used to think English was the final destination. Now I know, it was the door. At Techspire, Saloni had quickly grown from new recruit to team anchor. She was no longer afraid to disagree respectfully in meetings. Present in front of clients on Zoom. Speak up when she had an idea no one else saw. But even more than that, she had become someone others looked up to. People now came to her not just for bug fixes or code reviews, but for how to say things in meetings, how to write professional emails, and how to navigate corporate spaces with confidence. And every time someone asked, "How did you become so fluent?" she didn't say, "I'm fluent." She said, "I'm still becoming." Because fluency, she'd realized, wasn't a finish line. It was a mindset. One Friday afternoon, Saloni received an email from a popular Indian youth magazine. Subject: We'd love to feature your story. They had stumbled upon a blog post she'd published titled, From Hindi Medium Girl to Techspire Pro, My English Journey in 90 Days. The editor wrote, "Your story is exactly what our readers need right now, real, honest, and deeply relatable." Saloni reread the message 3 times before it sank in. Someone, somewhere, thought her story mattered enough to publish. She agreed to an interview. Not for attention, but for representation. If one girl in a Tier 2 city reads it and feels less alone, she told the editor, then it's worth it. One weekend, she returned to her college for the annual alumni panel. She wore a simple kurta and walked into the seminar hall where she had once sat in the back row, head down, hoping no one would ask her to speak. Now, she stood on the stage, a mic in hand. The moderator asked, "What advice would you give to students who feel like their English is holding them back?" Saloni paused, then smiled. Don't let your language level define your confidence. Don't wait to be perfect before you start. Start with your voice, shaky or not. Fluency will follow. But courage, that's yours already. In her diary that night, she wrote, "Fluency is not when you stop making mistakes. It's when you stop letting those mistakes stop you." She'd learned, vocabulary matters. Grammar helps. Practice is essential. But more than any of that, belief is the foundation. You can memorize thousands of words. But unless you believe your voice matters, they stay locked inside you. On day 100, Saloni recorded one last video for her YouTube channel, this time, not private. She looked directly into the lens. "Hi, I'm Saloni, a girl from Jaipur who once froze when someone asked her name in English. I didn't go abroad. I didn't take expensive coaching. I didn't become perfect. I just showed up. Every single day. With mistakes. With doubt. But I showed up. And that made all the difference." She paused. So to anyone out there feeling like you're not English enough to be confident, you don't need an accent to speak. You need courage. And you already have that. The sun had fully set. A cool breeze drifted across the terrace. Saloni closed her diary. Inside it were grammar notes. Stories of struggle. Quotes that helped her. A list of every word she once didn't know. And the first English sentence she had ever dared to write: "I want to learn." And now, with quiet certainty, she whispered to the sky, "I did."